What is up? The year 2020 is over. It's finally done with. We're in 2021 now. So we're going to get right into it. Our top 10 anticipated films of 2021. Um, there's some films we left on here. Don't take it personally. There are way more than 10 films I think that both of us want to see, but we had to boil it down to just 10, and these are our 10 films. Now, starting off at number 10, we have Candyman. Nick, do you want to get into what makes Candyman such an exciting film for you?
Well, I know. Well, speaking on, I guess, on you and I's behalf, like we've both become real big Yahya Abdul Mateen II fans over the recent years, and here he is yet again. So that's for me. That's the thing that first grabbed my attention about it. And also, like, I don't know. I feel like I like the vibe the first trailer set up. It was just like a good like had that like Invisible Man us like relentless like horror feel, which I'm always down for. And I don't know, I feel like this could be a pretty interesting film because I know like the original film, it was like I haven't seen it just yet, but I know it's been described as like it's a lot smarter than like just like your typical slasher. So I'm intrigued to see the if how much of that the new film brings along. And also the film has Nia DaCosta behind the camera, who is also will be directing Captain Marvel 2, which is going to be two different properties. So I'll love to see like down the road, like, oh, this is what she did with horror, here's how like she implements it, or like she like does differently with the Captain Marvel sequel. So a chance to see both her and Yaya back at it is definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah, to me, it seems like there's been this renaissance of horror films,
Mhm.
and it's the smart horror genre. In the films I put in there, in no particular order ranking, are Get Out, Us, A Quiet Place, Invisible Man. I'm probably Hereditary is another one, right? I haven't seen Hereditary, but I've heard that's a great smart horror film. And so this like renaissance of the smart horror genre, as opposed to just the regular slasher, has really brought me into the genre. And I see Peel attached, Nia DaCosta, who's directing Captain Marvel 2 as well. This is very exciting for me. The trailer I was really into. The tension was already up. I'm like, I can feel this is going to be a good film.
Mhm.
Um, and I think them delaying it in part is because they know they have a really good film that will do well at the box office. So I'm really excited for that. It's our number 10, which is a pretty big accomplishment, honestly, especially for a smaller film. But let's move on to our number 9. The fans have been clamoring for this for years. They're finally going to get it. Um, the Snyder Cut. Nick, as an
Mhm.
avid DC fan, a proponent of the Snyder Cut since day one, what's your level of excitement to finally get the cut?
I mean, it's like the fact that it's like it's coming, it's finally here. Like that's enough to be excited about on its own. I'm just intrigued to like because like they changed so much for the theatrical cut, and like they've been saying like this is a completely new thing, and I'm like, okay, so I'm really excited to see like how much that statement holds true, like how much it's that he's releasing it in an almost unadulterated 4 hour version compared to the 2 hour theatrical cut version. I think that's going to be enough on its own, just like very fascinating to see the differences, like director's cuts and like whatnot. I feel are always like an interesting thing to see because studios love to like you know dilute certain projects to like make them appealing to fans. I know like they did that to Orson Welles like back in the like I think it was like the 40s or whatever. So I'm always intrigued to see a good like director's cut. I'm excited to see like Cyborg and like Superman's original storylines like resolved, or like at least like presented in the way he intended. So glad to see it. Glad to see it's coming out finally after all these years. I think it's also the first superhero film getting released this year too. I think they're aiming for a March release on Max. So it's very excited. It's gonna be a good time when it comes out.
Yeah, I wasn't really on the Snyder Cut train. Um,
Mhm.
to me, once a film's released, like if you want to release a director's cut on the side with a DVD, that's cool. I'll watch it. Blade Runner,
Yeah,
famously known for having the director's cut being better.
right.
Um, and there's some other films as well that are known as the director's cut. But that's a thing that happens like 20 years later, right?
Right.
With film nerds looking back on it being like, no, this is the cut you should really watch.
Right.
Um, and I've never seen something happen this fast and this expensive of a
Right.
remaking of the film. And I think it's cool. I think it's really cool from the fans' perspective. I hope this doesn't become a thing where every film is like remake this film or remake that film. If this gets into
Right.
Star Wars, it's going to drive me nuts. I am going to go crazy. Um, but
Excommunicate episodes 8 and 9 from the
yeah,
line from
yeah,
the
I'm
timeline. Oh my
I'm
god.
gonna be fighting people to be like, I hate
Right.
one of these episodes and I like one of the other ones, but they're still Star Wars. But
Right. Right.
regarded to the Snyder Cut itself, I am excited for it because I like
Mhm.
Zack Snyder's. I don't like Batman v Superman. Actually, that's a lie. I
Yeah.
like Man of Steel. I like Man of Steel a lot.
Mhm.
Um, and so I was excited for. I like this idea of a darker, more realistic tone and viewing of the world in Justice League.
Mhm.
And I kind of wanted to get more from Batman and from Cyborg. Because Cyborg, I came away from watching, I actually kind of like Justice League, the regular cut. I don't think it's a
Right.
great film by any means or a good film, but I kind of had fun with
Mhm.
it. But I came
Mhm.
away and being like, I really like Ray Fisher as Cyborg. And I
I did
wanted to
as
see more of him. So hearing that there's a lot more footage and a lot more to uncover about his storyline, I thought was really cool. And I think what makes it interesting to me is not it's the same film; it's also being explored in kind of a different medium in a way. They're releasing
yeah.
it as like a 4-part miniseries, but it's really a film that they're splitting into 4 parts.
Mhm.
So I think that's a cool way to release it. That to me makes it different enough from what came before that I'm like, I'm excited to watch this.
For sure.
Moving on to our number 8, this is one for me. This is really one that made my top 10, and I had to
Right.
push it into the top 10. That's Malcolm and Marie. Sam Levinson wrote and directed the film. Zendaya and I believe John David Washington executive produced or produced as well as starring in the film. Um, I could not be more excited for this film. I am a massive fan of Zendaya's work. Euphoria, Spider-Man: Far From Home, The Greatest Showman, all like massive hits, and I think she's been great in all the roles. And I think the more you give her, as far as worked as an actress and heavier, more difficult roles, I think she really thrives in that. And Euphoria showed that. And Sam Levinson was the head creator of that, and I think he has a really good um, way of exploring emotions, which you can see in Euphoria, especially in the recent episode, the bridge episode between season 1 and 2. He really has a emotional understanding of kind of like different perspectives in life that I think makes for really good, honest writing, which I think can really show up on the screen. I'm excited because Zendaya's in it. John David Washington, who is a rising star right now. If you've seen him in Black Klansman, he's amazing. Go check that film out because you'll be blown away. Tenet, I may not be the biggest fan of the movie, um, but I like what he does with his character. I think he makes the most of his character.
Mhm.
And I'm excited for him and Zendaya to be a couple in this film and struggling through a relationship. Um, I think the whole idea of this film is really cool. I'm excited. It's coming out just in time for Oscar season. There's buzz going around that it's really, really great. I can't wait. But Nick, what are your thoughts?
I think, I mean, you said most of it already. I think one of the reasons it didn't really make my top 10 is because we haven't seen much from it. We have like the two images, but like I won't like lie and say like it's not an intriguing project. I think you said something when we were just discussing the Snyder Cut about how like fast it came together. That was exactly my thoughts concerning this film. Was like they threw this together and like in the midst of quarantine over like a very short like shooting period, and the fact now like it's getting like good reviews. I'm like fascinated by how just everything seemed to work out. Like it like just getting a project out one in the midst of like 2020 was is ridiculously hard, but to have it apparently be have a lot of weight and like energy to it, I'm very intrigued to see. Also, it from the way I've interpreted like the synopsis, there's a lot of 12 Angry Men energy when it's like all of this is taking place in like one setting or whatever. And like if you check out our top 10 video, that's what I loved about The Boys in the Band. It was like it was all in one setting and a lot of it hinged on the actors. And so I'm definitely intrigued to see just John David Washington and Zendaya going back and forth. There'll be a lot of what like Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe did in The Lighthouse. So that's getting released. They said, was it on Netflix, right?
Yes, on Netflix in February, which is
All right.
crazy.
Oh,
That the film
yeah.
cost $1 million to make, I believe, from what I've
It was
read,
a
and they
huge bidding
sold.
war, right?
Yeah, and the bidding war ended up being 30 million to Netflix.
Mhm.
So that's
That's
pretty
great.
crazy. That's insane. That
Mhm.
the whole premise of that is insane. That you make a film for one and sell it for 30 in a
Right, for sure.
midst of a pandemic. Let's go on to our number 7. I know nothing about this film, but you do, and that's The Northman. Do you want to
Right.
break it down for us why you're so excited for this film?
Yes, this is one of my personal picks, and a lot of it comes out of the fact that it was directed by the same guy who did The Lighthouse, Robert Eggers. I loved what he did in that film. I'm so intrigued to see what he does with this, especially since like The Lighthouse was very much like a psychological horror film, and The Northman, from the synopsis, sounds more like a some sort of historical film. I have no idea if it's going to be like in that like psychological realm or if he's like positioning it to be like a bit more like an epic scale. I'm not sure yet, but they're another project that was done in quarantine. They wrapped up and they have a pretty solid cast. He's got Anya Taylor-Joy from The Queen's Gambit, Willem Dafoe, also from The Lighthouse. He's got Nicole Kidman from Aquaman, Bombshell. Trying to remember who else in there. Alexander Skarsgård from Big Little Lies and what's the other one? Oh, The Stand. That's another show I'm watching right now. Like it's a really great combination of people under a really great director with a premise that seems a little like out of the ordinary for him. He also did The Witch, which is another horror film. So I'm intrigued to see how like if he branches out, if he puts his own spin on it with this and with this cast. I mean, um, just the idea of seeing Anya Taylor-Joy play off against like Nicole Kidman, two of my favorite actresses. I think that's going to be so much fun to watch. So here's hoping it gets. I think it'll be released this year. Like I said, they finished production. I'm just excited to see the scale of it, and I love The Lighthouse. So I'll watch anything that has Robert Eggers' name attached to it. So that's what I'm excited for.
Right. I think for me, I haven't seen The Lighthouse or his other previous film. So for me, I'm not as excited from that perspective. But
Right.
The Lighthouse is on my list of films to watch, which of course is ever growing. Um, just like The Matrix will probably forever be on my list of films to
Right.
watch. If you guys have watched for any number of episodes, you'll get what I'm talking about.
Right.
But the cast is just insane. I
Yeah.
read this cast list, and this is a cast list that gets you to watch the film even if you haven't seen anything else, because you're like, I just have to see this, because if it goes right, like, oh my god. But if it goes
Mhm.
wrong, how did it go wrong? There's an
Right.
intrigue
Right.
either way.
For sure.
And so I think I am 100% down to watch it, even though I know the director's films aren't always for everyone. But I'm willing to take that risk with this sort of cast.
For sure. For sure.
Let's move on to our next film, which is A Quiet Place 2. Now, A Quiet Place, the original one for me, was maybe my favorite theatrical experience of all time. And that, yeah, I'm sorry, Endgame, Infinity War, you got nothing on A Quiet Place.
Mhm.
Um, there may be those moments in Endgame, Infinity War where you're screaming like, "Let's go," you know, but there's nothing like the tension coming out of the movie theater. My friends and I walking home were like just so quiet because we were that immersed in the world from that theatrical experience that we were like, we can't talk. We're gonna get jumped by one of the monsters.
Right.
Um, it was that sort of vibe coming out of it, and I really, in all the years since I was a kid going to movies, I don't remember having as much fun, just watching a movie and being fully engrossed in the experience as A Quiet Place.
Mhm.
So to hear that they're coming out with the second one, the reviews already came out for this film because they pulled the plug on it a week before it was supposed to come out due to COVID. It was right at the beginning of COVID.
Right.
Um, so the second this film comes out, I'm going to see it. Hopefully, I'll be able to see it in theaters. I want them to just keep on pushing it back until you can see it in theaters, because that's where this film is made to be seen. If you see this film at home, you won't get half of the effects of what it's supposed to be.
Right.
This
Right.
is a theater film. This is, if you go to the film once or twice a year and you like horror, or let's say not even like, if you don't dislike horror,
Mhm.
you have to watch this film. You have to. It's that much of an experience. For me, it kind of like changed the way I viewed sound editing, um, which is a huge part of filmmaking. This is a huge inspiration for me as a filmmaker, so that's why I'm excited. But Nick, why are you excited about A Quiet Place too?
I think what really sold me was the trailer, and for what like they appear to be doing kind of like they appear to be doing what all good sequels do in this in the vein of like The Dark Knight and like Terminator 2, in which they just expanded on what they did. Like Quiet Place 1 was like it was just the family. It was the family at their house fighting for their lives. But now we're like meeting other survivors. We're getting the hint that like we're getting looks at like the origins of this whole situation. And I love the idea of like they're expanding in scale. Um like I think just like there's that one shot where like Killian Murphy's like running and it looks like this like I don't know, RV park or whatever is like getting attacked by the monsters and like all hell's breaking loose. And I love the idea of just like looking back at like this is the world, this was what the world was before, and here's like where we are now. It's just I love the idea of like escalating in stakes and tension. I wouldn't even be surprised if like the film introduced like the alpha version of the creature or whatever, just because like that's like they did that in Aliens as well. But I don't know, they see John Krasinski's directing and believe writing still, so the idea he's like just broadening this world is something I'm very excited for. I'm glad just to see this concept, because like it was such a novel concept in the first film, so to see them kind of like retool it for a new adventure and what looks to be like a fresh adventure is really exciting. Also, my man Killian Murphy is in there as well, and I love him from Peaky Blinders, Batman Begins, so great to see him going to be playing off Emily Blunt, another of my favorite actresses.
I was gonna say you have to get your Peaky Blinders reference of the day in. Um,
Yeah.
the only other things I want to say about A Quiet Place 2, because I could talk about this film all day. I promise you I could. But I think what looks awesome is this is a really natural evolution of the story and making it a larger world, but keeping it intimate at the same time. Because they're focusing on the same group of characters. The learning the new information about the world is going to be from their perspective. And I think that that's what makes it so interesting, because it's not like you're getting, some military base deep underground, right? That knows everything that went on and they have satellites and whatever. You're getting a still really intimate, small scale story that shows you the bigger effects on the world. And I think that's the perfect way of handling it. But let's move on to our next film, Judas and the Black Messiah. Nick, this is coming in at, I believe, number 5. Why is this number 5 overall on our list?
I think there's it's see this is like the classic like historical film that like not to compare it to Trial to Chicago 7, because I feel like already Judas seems to be giving off like stronger vibes than Trial, but like it's like on the surface it's like that classic historical film. They're already pushing for Oscar noms for Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya, but um I don't know, I really enjoyed the vibe of that first trailer, and I love the like how it could be used as like again like a reflection of like what's going on today. This could very well be the role that Lakeith Stanfield finally like blows up for everyone in the same way that like Anya Taylor-Joy did in The Queen's Gambit. This finally might be it. Daniel Kaluuya looks to have completely bodied this role as the Black Panther party head. I think Fred Hampton. I'm particularly excited for, because I think I loved Get Out. I loved his performance in Widows. So to see him kind of like finally like go all out in this supporting role, I think he has a very good chance of being nominated. I guess they're releasing it soon. I can't recall a release date, but if they're pushing for noms, I guess they're gonna release it on Max soon. But yeah, I think this could be very well the film that Lakeith Stanfield finally blows up in, and for that alone, that's gonna be great, because he's been doing his thing since Get Out as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's really hinging on those two actors for me, just to see them play off each other and to see them like go all out in these roles. I think it's definitely going to be a really powerful film once released, and I'm definitely going to be there, hopefully in theaters. But it'll be what it be. It is what it is. If I can't get there, I will see it regardless.
Yeah, I think for me, what makes me so excited about this film, by the way, it comes out February 12th
Oh,
on
favorite top.
HBO
Okay,
Max and theater and in theaters.
sounds good.
Lakeith Stanfield for me is someone who's amazing at every role he's in, how small or how large it is. If you guys have seen Sorry to Bother You, it's the first real film I've seen of his where he stars in it, and he kills it. The film falters a little bit at the end. I'm not going to spoil what happens. Just watch it on your own because it's great. I think up until the end, which kind of pisses me off because it's such a good story, and then it's like, oh god, why did you do that? But that's just my opinion. He's great in the film. He's great whenever he's a supporting actor. If you've seen him in Atlanta, he's awesome. If you've seen him in Get Out, he has a small role in Get Out. He's great in that small role. I just think the more we get of him as an actor, the more people are going to appreciate him. And I think this film could really help him thrive and boost his career to another level. Daniel Kaluuya, I saw him first. I think I saw him first in maybe Black Mirror and then in Get Out, or maybe it was the opposite way around. I can't remember which came out first.
Right, right.
And I'm just really, really excited to see him in another performance. I thought he could have been nominated. I don't think he was for Get Out, which is kind of crazy.
No,
Maybe he was.
he
He
was
was.
here win, but
But he's such a good actor, and these two in a role together, putting kind of like butting heads, but they don't know it until probably a certain point in the film.
right.
Um, I'd like to see that like fall of betrayal come throughout the film. I'm really excited for this, and I can't wait for it to come out. Well, February 12th isn't that far, I guess. But
Yeah,
let's move
sometime.
on to our next film, In the Heights. Now, this is a musical. And those of you that know me may be asking, Henry, you put a musical on your list? Are you okay? Did you get hit over the head or something? Like, are you not thinking straight? Yes, In the Heights is in our top five. Nick, why is In the Heights in our top five?
I've listened to the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. It's such like there's so much personality and like dynamic like happening between there. So that alone, like when I heard that they were doing a movie, I was like, oh my god, like this is perfect. And that first trailer was just like a perfect illustration of what they were doing. Again, I keep referring to the trailers because again, like that's what we have to go on. But like I love the cast. Anthony Ramos, I saw him in Hamilton. He looks to be the perfect protagonist portrayal. There's so much I don't know. I'm just like so it's such a great vibe of the story, the setting, the characters. I'm like speaking mostly to the soundtrack right now, but like just to see all of that translated on screen is like really exciting. Also, like I'm really excited by the director. It's John M. Chu, the same guy who did Crazy Rich Asians, and Crazy Rich Asians also had like a lot of like stylistic flourishes, and I think just works well for musical. I think it's similar to when we were talking about Spike Lee doing his upcoming musical. It's like he's a director with a lot of like style. Like it only makes sense that eventually he jump into that genre. So the director, the music, I am for one have always been like down for a good musical. Rocket Man was one of my favorite movies of 2019. So I'm really excited for this one. This is one of two films on our list that for me is like I'm seeing it in theaters. Like there's no way I'm seeing this on Max. This is one I have to experience like best sound system, like biggest screen I can because it's just that's the best way you're gonna capture that energy. And that's yeah for me it's an easy top five most anticipated.
You think Rocket Man's we'll get it. That's a talk for another time if Rocket Man's a
Fair enough.
musical or not. Because it's like that's a fascinating question of whether it is or is not. But for me,
Okay.
In the Heights, I saw this trailer and I was just like, this is the movie that we need in 2020 or 2021 now, I guess. I'm gonna pass it over to you for a second. Is there anything else you want to say on In the Heights before I get right back before my camera dies?
No worries. Let's see. I am you guys just like have to listen to at the very least the intro song. The intro song is filled with so much like it does what a good intro song does. It introduces exactly what the musical is about. It's filled with so much like flavor and dynamic, and you get the back and forth between the characters. The guy who wrote it, Lin Manuel Miranda, is the guy who like really likes to like develop this like back and forth banter between characters, and it just flows so well. And Um, I don't know. It's gonna be definitely gonna be one of the most stylish films of the year. I can just see like choreography, the just the vibe. There's one shot of the like the old their like mentor character. She's like in like a tunnel or something. The lights are like kind of like shining around here. That was I was like, yeah, they're definitely gonna do a good job like translating it from stage. Um, I'll hand it back to you since it seems your tech issue is set.
Yeah, the limits of my live view can be annoying sometimes, but I think for me, and the main reason is in 2021, a down what started as a down year of 2020 and going to 2021, I need an uplifting film, and I need something that's just going to be a blast to go see at the movies. And I think that's exactly what this film can be. I think this is a film that you'll go into being excited and you'll leave being joyful. And that's kind of what I need from a movie right now. I've been seeing a lot of movies, except for Soul. Shout out to Soul for making like my whole month, um, because it's like an uplifting film. Every once in a while, you just need a film that lifts your spirits, and I think this can really be the film that does that. Considering how many like dark and depressing films are made these days, and I'm a problem with that. I'm part of the problem because I watch all of them because they're interesting. But having a light, fun film is really great, and I think I'm just excited. The director of Crazy Rich Asians, which was one of my favorite films the year it came out.
Right.
Um, I can't be more excited for In the Heights. But let's move
Mhm.
on. It's impossible. It's Tom Cruise's mission. It's Mission Impossible 7 coming in at our number 3. And Tom Cruise is going to be doing some double dipping, so just wait a little bit.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Mission Impossible 7. I'm going to start off with this because I can't wait. Um,
All good.
Mission Impossible 6 was one of my favorite action movies of the decade of 2020. I mean, Mad Max, its own class. But
Mhm.
other than that, nonstop action. The set pieces are so amazing. And I think the thing is, Tom Cruise gets bolder and bolder with each film he makes. And I think this will be no exception. You know, I want to see I wish there was a way that we could get the Tom Cruise rant incorporated into the film. That would be hilarious. Just
Mhm.
put the audio at the end.
Right.
Um, but I'm just so excited for this franchise. This franchise really saved itself. Shout out to J.J. Abrams, or maybe it was Brad Bird. I can't remember which of
Yeah.
them made like the first good one as the third or the fourth film of the franchise that really turned it
Right.
around.
Right.
But since then, it is just killing it film after film. The scale gets even bigger. I mean, they're climbing the what is the building called?
Oh, the Burj Khalifa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In one of the
Climbs that,
films, it's
and then he.
so nuts.
Mhm.
And Tom Cruise does his own stunts, and you can tell, and it makes a difference
Mhm.
that he does all that. And we're going to talk about that later on the list. But that's why I'm excited. Why are you excited about Mission Impossible
I mean,
7?
really, yeah. I'm like, you really said it all. It's just like this is the one franchise like you can count on to always like one up itself, and just and like knock on wood, like it has one upped itself like three times in a row. We thought like, oh shoot, like Tom Cruise climbing the tallest building in the world, like that's insane. And then he attached himself to a plane in the next one. We're like, oh shoot, that's crazy. And then like the in Fallout in the sixth one, like he like performs his own like Halo jump, and it's like, oh my god, like it's like it's so much of it is like just on Tom Cruise like doing like just, you could say whatever you want about his personal life, just but like the fact that he he seems to be so able and willing to like do the most insane stuff for like the maximum amount of like of output for the film is it's so crazy. I can't wait to see what he does. And like this is the one other film on the list besides Malcolm and Reed. There's no trailers on it, but like it's Mission Impossible. You by now they've built up that reputation of we will outdo ourselves, and there's a 90% chance they will outdo ourselves, and we're gonna be like, holy cow, like how they do that? How did they like no? How did they do that? So for that alone, I think um that's another gonna be a great theater film. Thankfully, it's releasing in December, so hopefully things are a little back to normal by then. I had so much fun watching the last one. That was a great theater experience for me. So Tom Cruise and like Haley Atwell, Isai Morales, Pom Clemente, they've all been added to the cast. So it's definitely gonna be fun to see everyone just playing off Tom Cruise. Um, yeah, here's hoping they get the rant in somehow, remix it somehow into the film. That'd be great.
That would be
But
great.
yeah,
Put it as some
uh,
background audio.
right, yeah, it's like, oh, wait a second. But yeah, Mission Impossible 7 here for round 7 all these years later, and I'm loving it.
So, how does Tom Cruise outdo himself in the same year? He makes Mission Impossible 7, and then he goes makes our number two most anticipated film of the year, Top Gun Maverick.
Hmm.
If you've seen the first film's an absolute blast. But Tom Cruise is taking it to the next level. He learned how to fly. He learned how to fly a jet. He
Yeah,
literally said, "No, we're gonna wait a year to make this movie so I can learn how to fly a jet myself."
yeah,
Because that's Tom Cruise, and if you've seen the trailer and how it's shot, you're just like, I'm blown away. I mean, you can see the literal G force hitting him because they're actually in the plane or
right.
the jet flying off. And it's a whole new level of immersion, I think, that we're going to get from this film. Um, Nick, what makes you so excited about Top Gun Maverick?
In some ways, and I don't say this as like a bad thing to like the franchise, but like in some ways, there's like in like the initial concept, like there should have been like no way that like this film was like top 10 most anticipated, just because like I really did enjoy like Top Gun. It was definitely like a really fun enjoy, but it's like the idea of like making a sequel. It's like, well, this could go like either good or really bad, just depending on how like they've been reviving franchises like left and right over the past like 5 years. So I was like Top Gun sequel. I was like, okay, I guess, but I can't think of a like one of the best like money shots in a trailer I've ever seen is the one where like Tom Cruise like hits the gas and like the jet's taking off the aircraft carrier and you see like the background disappearing and then like he takes off. I was like, that's so cool. Like they really like they didn't have to do like much to like make like a top Gun, but again, like you said, like Tom Cruise was like, we're gonna do as much as we can to like achieve this new level of immersion. I know they developed like a whole like camera setup to like put in the jets. Tom Cruise made sure like some of his other co-stars knew what they were doing in the plane. I was like, this is gonna be like I thought the dog fights in Dunkirk were pretty cool, but like now there's this, like you see them like going all out, and I think that's so cool. And you're right, like how does Tom Cruise outdo performing a halo jump, attaching himself to a plane? He's actually in the plane this time, and he's in the plane. He's like you know doing dives, going upside down. I'm like, holy cow, this is by far one of the this could very well be one of the best like action films of the year, which is crazy because again, Mission 7 is coming out. Um, I believe it's releasing in summer, and I'm really excited 'cause that's a summer movie if I've ever seen it. It's gonna be it's gonna be so good. And you have like Miles Teller there too. It's gonna be solidly acted, I believe, and just it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say this should be the movie of the summer, but there are also 2 years worth of movies of the summer
Right.
into the year of 2020, which is gonna be nuts.
Mhm.
But let's move on to our number one. And I know for me, it's not even close. There's number two and everything else, but Dune is a far way above the rest. Dune is our number one most anticipated film of the year. I mean, where do I start? The source material. I read the book this summer in preparation for the film, and I was
Right.
blown away. This is one of the best sci-fi. Maybe I think I comfortably say the best sci-fi book I've read. Um, and it's just so smartly written, and the characters are so interesting, and it's this really great mix of action and character and story and kind of mythology. um it's part of, I think, watching Star Wars again afterwards, it's part of what inspired Star Wars.
Right.
um and it has this wonderful vibe to it. Denis Villeneuve, if you've watched any of his films, you know how great of a director he is, and you know how great of an aesthetic he brings to films. And I think aesthetic's a massive part of Dune, and bringing the planet that it takes place on to life. So having someone who made films like Prisoners and Blade Runner 2049 uh, direct this film is just amazing. From what I've read about it, the script's amazing. From what I've read, people who've seen early cuts of the film are like jaw drop to the floor. Like, this is insane. And we haven't even gotten into the cast. Now, Nick, let this cast stars the one, the only, the modern heartthrob. He was just on SNL, Timothy Chalamet. Now, Timothy Chalamet's been a star of smaller films, but gained this massive audience. Some said maybe he'll be the next Leonardo DiCaprio type guy. I kind of see it. Well, I stall and look up for the cast list. What are your thoughts on this?
I'll start with the film overall first. Like it says something that Dune was my most anticipated film of 2020, and then entering 2021, it still retained that position, even though there's like way like so many films from 2020 that was pushed over, and so many films that were just scheduled in general to release 21. The fact that it has held this position like over the course of the 2 years, like that says so much about how much like there's so much intrigue, there's so much hype. There's like it's this could quite possibly be like one of the largest scale like movies like we've seen, like even arguably outdoing like Infinity War or Endgame, like like meeting like Mad Max Fury, where like we're getting a whole new brand of mythology that a lot of modern day audiences don't really know of, because now like not everyone has read the book. You have this crazy cast who's just like Denis Villeneuve could have casted like a bunch of like newcomers to the role. I still would have been excited just for the fact that like it's Denis Villeneuve adapting, like taking on like this large scale project. But then he casted like Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya, Josh Brolin. The amount of like award nominations in this cast and crew is unreal. And like got Hans Zimmer doing the music. It's like this is the dream project of every film fans like dreams is coming together with this project. We have um and it's not even like that this project is like going to be some sort of like Oscar like drama that like not everyone can find. Like I think this is like a very like relatively accessible film. Like, you know, it's sci-fi, it's a brand new mythology with a lot of familiar faces. And I genuinely believe this is going to be like the biggest film both in scale and like just in general of the year. This is my other one alongside In the Heights, where it's like it's a deal breaker if I can't see this in theaters. Like like you will have to like shut us all, like shut the state down. We'll be in New York and back in Ithaca by that time, but like you'll have to shut down like the state again if to prevent us from going to the theater. There's no way we're going to be seeing this like on Max. Like I'm going to see this in the theater. So I don't know, it's the large scale. You got one of the greatest composers working on it. You got a stellar cast. You got a great director who I consider one of like my personal favorite directors, and you got a hell of a project going on.
Yeah, I think it's for me, this is my hot take, right? Mark it down now.
Okay.
This is going to be our generation's Lord of the Rings. It's going to be successful in all different types of categories at award season. It's going to be the next big thing of our generation in
Right.
storytelling. Denis Villeneuve, you have a great director behind it. You have Hans Zimmer, great score, like you said. And I'm going to run through the cast because this cast is insane. Timothy
Yeah.
Chalamet, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, Jason Momoa, Oscar Isaac, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, Javier Bardem, um, David. I
That's
don't know how to say
Malchian.
his not.
I think it's
Yeah,
That's Malchian.
yes, you said it, not me. Josh Brolin, Sharon Duncan Brewster, and that's just like the main cast. That's insane. I mean, the amount of money to pay to have that cast is nuts.
The amount of money to like pull off the sandworm alone is like
Oh my.
it's like geez. And then they had enough to bring in like they have like Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, and like Rebecca Ferguson share a screen. It's like, oh my god, that's insane. Warner Brothers had full faith in this film and they went all out.
Yeah, yeah, Warner Brothers and Legendary, because everyone should be thanking Legendary for being clutch and making sure this film is in theaters.
For sure.
I think there's just no way it doesn't work.
Right.
In my opinion, if I'm cursing it, I'm gonna knock on wood.
Mhm.
It's gonna work. I'm so excited for this film. I'm just bummed that we have to wait till November. But if waiting till November means everyone can see it in theaters safely, it
Right.
is 100% worth the wait.
I think you said it best when you said this could be our Lord of the Rings, because like people are gonna like see like again like Infinity War and like Star Wars, and then they're gonna see this with this cast, with this like look, with this level of like sophistication in like story, with the director again behind it. Like I think this could be like really huge and like become like really really big. I don't know. This is good. This again. There's a reason this film was my most anticipated from 2020 and then again into 2020, despite any new releases, and just because this is a huge project. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and the first trailer was mind blowing to me, like mind
Definitely.
blowing. Um, but with that, is there any honorable mentions that we want to say, or do you think we kind of covered everything?
I I would just like to shout out Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho. There's no trailers in it, just a few photos, but the idea of Edgar Wright, of Scott Pilgrim, Baby Driver fame, of like very kinetic, like almost comic booky type storytelling. Well, like Scott Pilgrim technically is a comic book film, but like for that type of director to attack a horror film with again Anya Taylor Joy and like Terrence Stamp and Thomasin McKenzie, I think that sounds like cool. I love when directors seem to like break tradition, like when James Wan jumped from like The Conjuring to like Furious 7 to Aquaman. Like I don't know, I just love when directors like break from their usual genre to try something new. And again, the cast is great. I'm very, very excited to see Last Night in Soho. Um, Anything else? Um, I think that's it for me. I guess the film Nightmare Alley from Guillermo del Toro, similar case. It's just really well respected director with a really strong cast. Um, both projects, I believe, have wrapped production as well, so they're coming out this year. Then there's no way they're gonna get pushed again, hopefully. But for me, those are my two honorable mentions.
I have a few. Two are Tom Holland films. Cherry, which is
Mm-hmm.
coming out in
February.
February. Didn't mean to rhyme that, but I'm a rapper. Um, then we have Uncharted. Uncharted is based off a video game. I really want to see if this is a good adaptation or not. I'm really curious. People love these video games, like love them.
Right.
And it's exploration. I'm really hoping it'll be the next, not Indiana Jones is a little bit of a high bar, but the next kind of
Yeah.
great exploration action films. That's what I'm
Right.
hoping this could launch. And to see Tom Holland in other roles outside of Spider-Man expanding his career horizon with Cherry and a dramatic turn, and then an action adventure turn with and Uncharted. I'm really excited for both of those films. And then
For sure.
another one that didn't make either of our list. I don't know how. Maybe we forgot. Maybe it was number 11. James Bond, No Time to Die.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's James Bond. It's his last film. New 007 coming in. And oh my gosh, what's her name? The actress's name was the new 007.
Oh, like Lashana Lynch.
Yes,
Lashana Lynch.
Lashana Lynch. And Ana de Armas.
Mhm.
I'm excited for that. And then, of course, there's the Marvel movies and the DC movies that we're also excited for.
Right.
Um, but
It's
with
gonna be a
that,
packed year. It's gonna be a packed year.
super packed year, too packed of a year. Um, it's gonna be tough on my bank account, but with that, that wraps up our list of our top 10 anticipated 2021 films. Let us know what your top 10 are in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next time.